Was kind of exactly what you told us was going to happen. They got a guy who runs the floor, who plays their style, who can help with a finish on offense, and certainly can defend all over the place. A young teenage Frenchman drafted by the Chicago Bulls. What was your initial thought when it unfolded?
Not a surprise. We actually first talked about his name the night of the lottery. So, I mean, he's been linked to the Bulls for a while. We've been talking about him on our station for a while and on our podcast for a while. Definitely a bet on upside. It's pretty well known now he's the second youngest player in the draft behind Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg is, if he's healthy, a lock. He's the real deal. Noa Essengue is got some boom potential, and you don't want to say with an 18-year-old because it's pretty young and the developmental project, but he's got some bust potential. I mean, you don't know where this kid's going to go. You'd like to think, given the trajectory Modest Buzelis is on, the Bulls are going to get 2 in a row right here. But, you know, there's a lot of unknowns with him, but certainly a lot of upside and certainly fits with the way they're playing stylistically.
How is this similar and how is it different from the types of things we were saying a year ago at this time after the Bulls drafted Modest Buzelis?
I think, well, the similar thing is they both played professional basketball, right? With Modest playing for the G League Ignite until that disbanded. And, you know, this kid telling us in his Zoom call last night just how much playing professionally the last few years in Germany has helped him not only on the court, but off the court. What's different, you know, this is a guy that it doesn't have a lot of American experience. And Mark Eversley talked about last night not only the process the Bulls are going to have assimilating him on the court, but also off the court. I mean, Modest Buzelis was from here, had a strong family support system. I don't know Noa Essengue's living arrangement for next season. I don't know if people from his family are going to be coming over here to support him, but there's going to be a development process, not only basketball-wise, but life-wise. I mean, this kid is very young, and he's, you know, obviously been away from home before, playing professionally in Germany and growing up in France, but this is going to be a whole new experience for him. So there's going to be a lot thrown at him. I personally have probably lower expectations for what he's going to do on his court his rookie season in Modest Buzelis, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. That's not to say he can't be a great player. It's just there's quite a bit of difference in terms of, you know, just how much is going to be on his plate coming over from overseas.
I do not know the quality of play in the German basketball league, KC. So he started playing professionally as a 16-year-old there. Does that mean? I don't know what it means. I mean, just looking at it on video from YouTube, it just doesn't seem. What's it equate to? Is there a college conference? Is it more like a level below the G League? I couldn't even figure out how competent the opposition was.
Yeah, I mean, I can't claim to be an expert on that league either. I mean, a lot of my knowledge comes from talking to Chris Fleming, the former Bulls assistant who coached in that league and has a lot of roots in international basketball in Germany. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an expert on that league. What I will tell you is that I had not only heard Noa Essengue in my conversations with some people, you know, associated with the Bulls, but also associated with other teams. I mean, it's not like the Bulls are picking him at 12. He was mocked everywhere from 8 to 14 maybe. So, I mean, this is a guy that just really fits with the trends of today's NBA with his ability to run the court in transition, his length, his defensive versatility. So, I mean, it's not like, you know, whereas that league may not be as known as some of the other international leagues, it's not like he's a complete surprise coming at 12. So let's see what happens when he gets over here for summer league practice. And that's just the first step for sure.
Have to ask this because people have wondered, and I did myself last night, when you hear that he left his German league team in the championship final to be in the green room on the night he was drafted. How did he explain that decision, and was it in full? Did he have the full support of his coaches and family back involved in the German league?
Yeah, your guy Cody Westerland asked him that on the Zoom. Good question. I actually did not know that detail until last night, and he, addressed it head on. He said he talked about it with his coaching staff. They gave him his full support. He said it was a tough decision, but they told him to go live his dream. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, obviously, and he talked about getting to New York with his family and enjoying the experience and meeting his, the rest of his rookie draft class. Actually had an experience with fellow countryman Joakim Noah, once he was in New York. So, I'm sure that has to be a hard decision. It's not like we went in depth on it, but, being drafted in the NBA is also a once-in-a-lifetime experience and being in New York. So, something we can certainly follow up on once he gets over here.
I'm just curious. The basketball Bundesliga does that? He's more finisher than scorer. Can he shoot? Will he learn how to shoot? I'm just curious about the skill set and how that translates.
Okay, so I not only talked to people with the Bulls, but I talked to two scouts after the pick just to get their thoughts. One that had seen him play that's based here, and one with a little more international flavor. They definitely say, right. What I was told is that he's definitely more advanced defensively than offensively right now, which probably isn't the worst thing in the world. Mm-hmm. And that as far as the shooting, what I was told is that the percentage is not be great, but the form is solid. So if you've got a base of that to work with, and you're 18.5, and you put the work in, you've got some potential to grow there. He did talk to us on the Zoom about his finishing ability. He actually cited that as probably his most advanced offensive trait as of right now. Mark Eversley also pointed to that, his ability to get down hills, the ability to get to the line. Look, the guy's long. He's got a lot of length. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm an expert on his offensive game, because I'm, basing this on conversations with people and the same YouTube videos you guys are watching. But yeah, there's certainly the potential there. I had one person tell me, and everything on draft night is, pie in the sky optimism. And I'm not a big comp guy, but I asked one of the international guys I talked to, high-end comp, and he said Pascal Siakam. And let's tap the brakes on that, because I'm just telling you high-end comp, but that's what I was told. So let's see where it goes from here.
Casey, we're talking to Mark Eversley at 9 o'clock and looking forward to that conversation. And you heard him last night begin the press conference, or near the beginning, address Billy Donovan's future and why they believe he is the right coach at the right time. We know that. And certainly there's been reporting that suggests that Mark Eversley and Arturas Karnisovas are going to be here now for an extended period of time. Does this move reflect all of that? And if they weren't so secure in their jobs, would they have made the same choice, do you believe?
That's a great second question, really speculative, so I don't have a great answer. What I would say is two things to that. They've talked about patience from the jump, like shortly after the season ended, so I do think security probably played a small part of that. That said, and I want to emphasize this pretty strongly, they inherited a young roster filled with developmental projects from John and Gar in 2020. We expected them to continue that process, given AK's history with Denver and how that franchise was built. They drafted, and they held on to their guys, and they had a lot of continuity, and they had a lot of patience. They blew that up very unexpectedly in 2021. This is old news, well documented. They made big swings and big splashes. They got out of that game, and regardless of a contract situation, this to me is going to be a process. They've made that clear. Picking Modest is one step to that. Certainly that doubles down with an addition of an 18-year-old. So they are playing, from my estimation, the long game here. You heard Mark Eversley talk many times last night about not wanting to skip steps and staying diligent. I'm sure he'll say similar things to you guys at 9. So that's my read on the situation. Yeah, sure, the fact they have some security will help, but my strong sense, it's not even a gut sense, it's just my strong indications are they would have been taking this process regardless.
I'm curious what's left for them. They got a second-round pick tonight. It's the 45th pick. Do they go with one of those draft and stash kind of players? Do they try to? Is there a position they're looking for in the second round? And maybe moreover, how many trades are out there? Did they talk then? Did you think something was going to happen? Were you surprised nothing did?
So multiple things on that.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Eversley talked openly about, conversations of moving both up and moving down. That's very typical for all teams. I will tell you that I have some intel on their draft board. I mean, they did like Colin Murray Boyles, another name. That shouldn't be a surprise because we've been talking about him and writing about him for weeks. But when he went 9 to Toronto, so I'm guessing if they had conversations move up, he was one of the targets. But when they started to see the draft board playing out and realizing Essengue was going to be there at 12, that probably was added some comfort level, or or the price was too high to move up. I'd expect a quiet night tonight. You just do the math. If they re-sign Josh Giddey, Javon Carter's already picked up his player option. Noa Essengue signing a guaranteed deal. You're at 14 guaranteed contracts.
Right.
So I would expect them to try to trade out tonight, which Mark Eversley admitted is a possibility, and or a draft and stash. So I'd expect a quiet night. And then as far as the future, I mean, I fully expect them to use the mid-level exception in free agency to add a 15th player. Obviously, you can go up to 20 contracts in the offseason, but ultimately you got to get down to 15 guaranteed for the regular season. So they'll be active in trade talks. The names have been out there: Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic, Lonzo Ball. Can't predict where that's going to go as of now, but I'm not going to be surprised if Noa Essengue and a solid veteran with the mid-level exception are the off-season moves for the Bulls.
How surprised are you by that? Not necessarily just the Bulls, but it was a pretty quiet draft night after we had gone into it thinking, maybe you didn't, but I think there was a suggestion that there was going to be some activity around the league, and there just wasn't.
Well, I mean, you certainly had some big trades leading up to the draft. Yeah. I think more trades are coming. I said before, I think in this new CBA, the trade market is almost like the new free agency in some ways. So, and look, the Bulls are certainly going to be active. I mean, it takes 2, sometimes 3 teams to make a deal work. So I'm not saying that's for sure they're going to be the off-season path, but I'm not going to be surprised if that's what it is. Noa Essengue and a veteran with the mid-level. So a lot of time left for the off-season. There'll be a lot of rumors, et cetera, and we'll see where it goes.
When will you know if this kid can play? I mean, it's going to take a couple of years, I would imagine, given his age, given the lack of experience. But I think that, if he can run the floor and he can help them as a rookie, I think we'll see it. But we're also talking about trying to figure out a way to know if there's development going on.
Yeah, and I mean, you watched the way Billy Donovan brought Modest Buzelis along last season, right? And Modest himself talked about how that was tough for him at first, but he ultimately grew to really appreciate and respect that, and it helped him. And the way he closed the season should have Bulls fans obviously encouraged. This guy to me seems probably even more of a project than Modest. Maybe I'm wrong. So like I said before, I have pretty low expectations for rookie season, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. I just think there's so much on his plate as a 18-and-a-half-year-old. I mean, we all have kids. I mean, it's like, this guy's younger than my oldest kid, and it's like you can't even believe this guy. You can't picture your own kid doing something like that. It's a big deal, coming overseas and living in another country and learning a new culture, and also trying to play professional basketball. They get paid handsomely for it. In fact, I joked with my oldest, who just left for his summer internship and just finished his freshman year at Georgetown. I said, "Hey, Thomas Sober's making $4.6 million next year. What are you doing?"
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
I mean, there's a lot for these kids, So, but I don't want to minimize it. They get paid a handsome wage. This is the life they chose. But my expectations are pretty low, just given all that's going to be on this kid's plate next year.
Well,